Hello, and welcome to Soft Human Voice. This is a podcast dedicated to helping you remember your source connection. We want to remind you that you are not alone, that you are loved, you're wise and intuitive, and you have more co-creative power than you think. And you also have more capacity to create the kind of relationships and experiences that you want in relationships than you might think. And my guest today is going to talk with us, give us more perspective on how we can help to create more safety, more connection, better boundaries in our relationships. So I'm really excited for this session. So let's remember this together. I'm Jessica Shepard. I'm an astrologer and intuitive guide and author of 5 books, including A Love Alchemist Notebook. And of course, I host this podcast, Soft Human Voice. And I also write its companion Substack newsletter called Soft Human Words. And I've also turned that into Soft Human Movement recently with some Qigong practices, teaching you how to incorporate this soft, sensitive self that you have into all areas of your life, kind of taking care of yourself with anything I can offer you, I like to teach. So, and that's part of my mode of operandus with bringing in teachers and people who I feel have unique perspectives and skill sets. And hopefully we can just help you up-level, reconnect, and live more of the life that you want and have the relationships you want. So I'm going to introduce my guest, and her name is Marina. Marina, how do I say your last name? Lorenzato.
Lorenzato. Thanks for asking. Lorenzato. A lot of people get it wrong. Thank you.
Yeah. So I'm going to introduce Marina. Marina is a BACP-accredited psychotherapist based in London, working with women and couples who find themselves losing their sense of self in relationships. I love this topic because I think, especially for our listeners, we have I'm sensitive, and I often consider myself my audience. And so I've been through this. So this is going to be great. So Marina, drawing from psychosynthesis, internal family systems, and somatic approaches, her practice centers on the patterns that keep people stuck, people-pleasing, anxious attachment, blurred boundaries, and the quiet erosion of self-worth that often goes unnoticed until it's gone too far. She sees clients in person at London Bridge and online, and is the creator of Authentica, a self-esteem program for women who are ready to come back into themselves. And she's launching that in April 2026. So beyond the therapy room, Marina shares relationship psychology and self-awareness content with a growing audience on Instagram. Marina does therapy in English and in Portuguese. Her work bridges clinical insight with real honest conversation, the kind that makes women feel seen rather than pathologized. And Marina, welcome.
Hello. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. And I find all that is true. Like, I just wanted to touch on that, like our connection and how we connected. And I was thinking about that this morning, that I think we connected on Instagram. And I think you had asked me something about my card deck. But I went to your profile and I started looking at what you do. And the way that you apply psychotherapeutic principles in really practical, real world ways appealed to me. And then I saw that you did something, it was really fun. Your whimsy and your sense of fun also appeals to me because I saw you did something with the reboot of the Sex and the City series. You did like this character analysis. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Of all the girls. And I was like, oh my gosh, she is so fun. And that just stuck out in my mind. And I thought, I've got to talk to her someday. So I think you've been with me since then. And the podcast has been kind of like, I'm going to invite her on sometime. And, diehard Sex and the City fan, which dates me, but still. That was a good one.
Totally. Yeah. Great. Yeah.
Yeah, you're a lot of fun. Yeah. So that really, and then we were talking and we found out too that we have some astrology compatibility, but I'm a Cancer sun and an Aries moon, and you're an Aries sun and a Cancer rising.
Yeah,
I didn't find out your moon sign. What's your moon sign?
My moon is Libra.
See, my rising is Libra. Like,
Oh my God, you're almost the same person.
we're like inverted reflections. I know. That's wild, huh? I had a feeling. I was like, I didn't ask her moon.
Cardinal signs, right? They're all cardinals.
All cardinal.
Yeah. Wow.
I'm like, I guess I like you so much because you're a reflection of. No, I'm just kidding. Getting psychological. Oh, we're reflections of each other, and we kind of, okay, interesting. Well, now I'm even more excited for our conversation, knowing that we are almost. So Marina, I love to start out just like you, whatever you care to share, but just as kind of a segue into the bigger conversation of relationship. How did you get into this type of work? And specifically too, you can tell us a little bit about your journey to becoming a psychotherapist, but like why the issues that you feel you're, qualified, I guess, to talk to women about. Why these specific issues?
Mainly, I think because I suffered from these things as well a lot. So I think that gave me the base to overcome them and to talk about it. I was always interested in psychology in general. My mom is a psychologist, so conversations about psychology, mental health, diagnosis were always on the table, literally on the table. We would talk during dinner. I had an uncle who was mentally ill his entire life, so that was always in the family system. But it was always from a very science-led perspective. But I had a babysitter. She was much older. My mom would leave me and my brother to stay with her. And she was kind of a healer. And she would do, I'm Brazilian. This was in Brazil. She would do these blessings for protection and for remove bad energy. She would do for me and my brother. And I was always like fascinated. And I would call her grandma. She was just like a neighbor. But I always, she was such a grounding presence and so different from what I had at home. And I was fascinated. I was like, wow, what is this? So I think that was my first contact with not traditional healing, let's say. And I think, so I studied something else. I had a career in marketing for many years. And in 2016, I moved to the UK in 2014, had a boyfriend in 2016, and I was completely in love with him. I was like infatuated. I loved the whole concept of him. It wasn't even like, it had completely different lifestyles, but I was like, I would make anything to make it work. And he broke up with me. And I was looking back, I think it was one of the hardest periods of my life. I couldn't hear my own cry anymore. I was crying so much. I would go through periods of complete sadness or complete numbness. And I realized that my whole life wasn't making any sense. So my profession, I was working in marketing, and I was like, this doesn't make any sense to me. I had no meaning. So when he left, I felt that there was no other meaning in my life, and I decided to do something. And I called sick, and I did a spreadsheet with all the courses of all the psychology modules in London, all the prices, and I went to a psychotherapist here in London. I said, I want to be like you. What should I do? And she told me a few names of some schools. And the place that she recommended, the Psychosynthesis Trust, was on my list. So I was like, well, okay, that's it. And I felt like, when I started to research about psychosynthesis, it felt really safe. It gave me a sense of hope. It's like, because I had done therapy before many times in my life. I had gone to therapy in Brazil. It's quite common in Brazil to go to therapy. I think nowadays in the UK it's more common, but like maybe 15 years ago wasn't that common. So anyway, that gave me hope. Knowing about psychosynthesis, I was like, wow, there's something different here, really aligned with the things I believe. So yeah, that's how I got here. And I think there's a personal interest in working with women. I like women, and I get along well with women, and I think. And knowing what I went through and how I got out from there, I think gives me some type of knowledge to work with this type of issues.
I mean, we're all initiated in different ways into our path, right? No matter what we're doing. But as healers, it's not uncommon, like a heartbreak that is just absolutely devastating, that a relationship that you lose yourself in totally. And it's a human thing, right? And these relationships that we go through, especially early on in our lives, really can illuminate these patterns that may not be all that helpful later in life. So it sounds like that heartbreak was kind of an initiation into who you are as a healer and the topics that you choose to focus on with your clients, which are self-worth, self-esteem. I also get the sense of like bringing yourself back, inviting yourself back to the table. Like as a woman, that's often a really difficult thing to do, because we are trained to accommodate. We are trained to look outside of ourselves. We're, conditioned to, depending on the type of family dynamic we grow up in. But it sounds like I recognize some familiar themes with you. Like for me, I grew up in that, like to defer. I was always deferring to my parents. They were the authority as the parents. And so that continued, and that's a really easy way to lose your sense of self, your sense of center. Right. And so the people pleasing, the deferring, the not bringing your full self to the table because you fear rejection, or it's just simply not allowed when you're growing up.
Yeah, and I think it becomes our MO, right? Like it becomes the way is almost like a learned survival strategy, and then we start operating that way in relationships, because that's how we survived. That's how we were loved, we were accepted. So we just carry on doing that in romantic relationships, like almost like an unconscious thing.
Yeah, and that's why it can be like sometimes terrifying even to come back to yourself and do all the things that healthy people do. Like it's so terrifying because you were literally trained out of them and told those things weren't allowed, right?
And it's so to intercede them to do something different. It's like, wow, I'm going to, I don't know. My mom is really caring. She cooks really well, and she likes to cook for the whole family. She's always thinking about food. She's always asking what we want to eat. And I do the same with my boyfriend. It's like, and he went to my parents now. He was like, oh, I get it now where it comes from, because there's a complete, like, I want to serve. My way of serving is through food. And,
So even just talking about that, how do you differentiate between the healthy, because that's a really healthy instinct in some people. It's all the way you use it, right? Like nurturing and nourishing people in the right context, it's amazing. And then in the wrong context, it's totally dysfunctional. So how do you kind of either notice that in your clients or in yourself, like when somebody's being over accommodating, or when that's a unhealthy dynamic?
I think there's something about choice. If I can make a choice, if I'm making that a choice, I think that's great. It's nurturing and nourishing. So I made a choice, but I'm not. I think sometimes we do just because this part of us is really strong, and we don't even notice that we are doing that. You're just accommodating, pleasing, and cooking and doing whatever needs to be done. Without a choice. And I think that's when things get really difficult, because we lose, you're doing things, we lose our sense of self.
like an automatic, like a self-driving car. Like, where am I in this? Who's driving the show? Who's cooking the meals? Do I even want to be doing this? Right? Yeah.
Yeah, and maybe this is a bit off from what we planned to talk about, but I think I really like working with parts. And so there's the part which psychosynthesis has a lot of things around parts. So what is the part of me that wants to do this? What's the part of me that is straight cheese? What is the part of me? What does this part want? How is it driving me? Can I observe this part from a centered point so I can make a choice and see if I want to do that or not? So I think part sometimes is an interesting way of looking at relationships, of how we operate in relationships, as if the part is one of our survival strategies.
Yeah, and I think naming too that this part of me wants this, but this part of me wants that, and that part of me wants this. It's like opening up a larger choice field, right? Like, because when these things are driving us, they're not conscious. We're not getting what we need. Yeah. No, I like that. Parts. What is it called? Parts theory. Parts.
So yeah, parts work. So there's the psychosynthesis college subpersonalities. IFS, which is the internal family system, calls it parts. So doing parts work. So they are quite similar in a way, but yeah, different perspectives, I would say.
So would you and you can use yourself as an example too, like how do you regulate that in yourself? Like what are the signs? Like, do you have a conversation with your different self parts when you're like, wait a second, I feel a little off, right? Like this doesn't feel necessarily good to me. Something strange here.
Yeah, I think just before coming here to talk to you today, I was feeling a bit nervous, and I realized, and it's not the first time that this happens, that I have something important and I get nervous. And the other time I was running a workshop, and today again I was being interviewed with something that is a bit new to me. And I noticed that my young self, the younger part of me gets activated. So when I was 12, 13 years old, I would read in front of the class and I would be really nervous. And I would go to piano things. I'd play the piano, and I would be really nervous before recitals. And I noticed that I'm doing, it's the same part of me that is getting triggered. It's like, it's the same nervousness. Oh, I'm going to get it wrong. I need to read it again. I need to see the piece again. I need to put makeup on. It's like, I have to do so many, I didn't print it out. I get to start to get a lot of things to make me nervous. And then I need to step back and say, literally, I put my hands in my heart and say, I got this. I'm telling my inner child, right? I'm telling little Marina, I've got this. I'm the adult here, and I can do this. I'll take care of you. I'm in charge here. So
yeah. So you talk to yourself, and you take that pause. You take that moment. I mean, I think that as you kind of open up your awareness to all the parts that are operating and all the places this comes from, the origin, the 12 years old, the, family table, whatever dynamics, you start to be able to recognize who's in charge. And then I don't know if that's true for you, but and then you can talk. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think you recognize, and you can negotiate almost like, oh, okay, I can get some space now, and I will I can give you back the space, and later I can go and have a fun activity with you later, like with my inner child. Maybe you're gonna watch TV. I don't know, but right now, the adult's in charge here.
Yeah. I mean, the same with me. I was like, we had a little scheduling conflict this morning, and I noticed I was getting ready, and I was, fine. And then it was like a part of me. It was like, wait a second, I wanted to do this and I wanted to do that. And I had to talk to myself like, oh, you're going to get to do that. It's just going to happen a little bit later. So these are, it's really good I feel like just having these conversations, you and I, and talking about self parts, I feel like it gives people more permission to have these kind of conversations with themselves, because it's really, healthy healthy functioning. It's really to be able to understand who's in charge, and not let it go into automatic,
Yeah. And
whatever
I
the
think
habit is. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And once you realize that there are different parts of you wanting different things, I think that's it's somehow liberating. It's not that you're confused. Sometimes, oh, I don't know what I want. I'm confused. No, different parts of me want different things, and that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. It doesn't, you can hold two contradictions at the same time. That was a big lesson for my own nervous system. Like two things can be true at once, right? Like two things can be true at once. And when you really actually allow your body to feel that as a truth, it can open up doors, right? Where they were closed before. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I'm kind of going back into my body in this moment and going, yeah, when I bring a concept into my body, into my nervous system, like two things can be true at once, it allows me to feel more here, to feel more grounded, to feel like I'm in charge. So I'm curious to know, how you work with the body, how you invite clients back into, and yourself back into your own embodied experience. And we can talk about that in any way you like. You mentioned the heart, hand on heart. There's a lot of nervous system work going on. People have more awareness than ever before of nervous system. And so what do you feel is useful for yourself and your clients when it comes to embodying what we're talking about?
I think simply becoming aware of the body, of how things feel in your body, can be really impactful. I think if I'm talking about something and I notice a part of my body tensing up, that means something. If my belly is a bit weird when I talk about something, that's also information for me. And this is in my everyday life or with clients as well, or in any situation. I try to observe my body. I don't think it's something that comes really natural to human beings, to the society we live in, but I really make a conscious effort of becoming more aware of my body. And I think with parts work is quite interesting in my therapy. So I'm in therapy as well. I like it. I like therapy, so I'm always in therapy. And my therapist is really great because she asks me where I feel certain. When we're working in a specific part, she asks me to identify where the part lives in my body. I think that's really interesting. And then she suggests that I ask for this part to give me some space, to go to the background or go to the side. And so I have this inner dialogue where I ask the part to give me some space. And then immediately that part of my body relaxes. And yeah, I think this is really, I really like working like this, but I think I found it really helpful in my own process. So I bring this to my practice as well.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that makes a lot of sense. And it's the nervous system, the relaxation, right? So noticing the areas of tension and relaxation, noticing, the expansiveness when you bring up an idea or you give another self part permission, and the contraction when something's uncomfortable, when something's untrue. I notice this in my body quite a bit. So when we engage other people, we have relationships with other people, and some of this stuff comes up, like the habits of over-accommodation, the habits of people-pleasing, and you want to take a new step into more discernment, better boundaries. What are some ways that you work with people to do that, to step into a more empowered, self-centered, in a good way, relationship with themselves so that they can move forward with boundaries?
I think there's something about reconnecting with our sense of self. Because I think when we are in people-pleasing mode, or when you are in one of the four known trauma responses, so fight, flight, freeze, or honing, we are somehow disconnected from ourselves. And I think so. If you are in the fawning mode, you're going to be accommodating and agreeable. Or if you are in the flying mode, you're going to maybe overwork, and maybe you're going to go on your phone, maybe have an affair. So I think it's important to come back to our sense of self. I think this is like that's how we can, because I think it's very difficult to be connected with someone else if you're not connected to ourselves. So I think in order to connect with the other, I need to be connected to myself. Have I answered your question?
Yeah. So how does that feel in your body when you're connected to yourself versus connected to other people? Because I find that I'll have a really hard time drawing boundaries if I'm not connected to myself, if I'm in somebody else's energy, if I'm in one of those patterns of, a survival response, a survival energy.
I think the breath is a great tool. I don't think when we are in this state of mind, we can go to very complicated tools because they are activated. So I think the breath is a great tool. Put your feet on the ground, maybe touching your heart. I think this is very simple, maybe orienting, seeing where you are, and just having a same sense of the space. I think all these physical things can be really helpful to connect back to me. Like, what I matter here. I'm going to bring the attention to myself instead of being focused on the other person. I'm going to bring the experience back to me. It's not about, are they having fun? Am I having fun? So there's almost like a shift in the energy.
Yeah. So when you bring it back to yourself, when suddenly you move from you back to me, and then you're like, oh, wow, I've been in you for a long time. So do you suggest taking some space, like filling yourself back up again with your own, self-awareness? Because the stuff like, I think, especially if we're talking about fight, flight, freeze, or fawn, or if we're talking about over-accommodation and survival patterns, it's not just an overnight, it's not like you can just pull your energy back and then suddenly people may be unfamiliar with what it actually feels like.
And it can be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think it can be uncomfortable because it's almost like a conditioning for years and years of being with the other, and then you come to you, it's like, what's happening here? Some people, there's almost like a physical reaction to it, because and also some people might feel guilty because, like, why am I not focused on the other person? It's like I was told my entire life.
I was trained to do this,
Yes, that I need to be agreeable. That's how I survive. That's how I'm liked. And now I'm doing something different. I'll be seen as selfish or arrogant. Especially for women, I think that's really difficult because that's how we are accepted in society. Anger is not accepted. We are praised for being the good girl, for being a good student, for not being promiscuous. So, I think there's something about tolerating the discomfort sometimes. Tolerating that's not going to be a very easy thing in the beginning.
It reminds me of like working a muscle, because I remember going through, I would have to talk to myself parts. I would have to talk to myself about it and go, okay, this is going to feel really uncomfortable for me. And this is going to feel really uncomfortable for me. The old habit feels really awful. The new habit feels uncomfortable. I am just in discomfort on both ends. So I have to choose in the long run, which is going to feel better. And at first it was just like a mental trick, like, kind of like just helping myself just tolerate discomfort and know that one is ever so slightly more tolerable. And I was just thinking of that as you were describing the
Yeah, a
process.
lot
Yeah.
of times in my practice, clients are feeling guilty for putting boundaries, and or they can't even envision establishing boundaries because they feel guilty. And then I ask them, if you don't put boundaries, what's going to happen in the long run? And they say, I'm going to be angry or I'm going to be resentful. And then I'm like, well, isn't resentment worse than the guilt? Isn't maybe that you can tolerate the guilt in a short term for a bit than being resentful for the rest of your life?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like a way of reframing. It's like, yeah, okay.
The lesser of two evils, as we say, like the lesser of two evils, like, right? Like, and it's that tolerance until you get to the point where the muscle stops hurting so much that you're newly working with, and it actually starts supporting you, right? Like a bodily muscle. And you're also reminding me of the times where I've been new to exercising a boundary muscle. I've had to work really hard on it. And to the point where my one of my good friends now calls me a boundary ninja. I get comments for my ability to hold boundaries really well.
Yeah, it's the same here. My preference and the boundaries queen.
Yeah. So you get it. But I remember at the beginning, like, you speaking to guilt, like, oh, I've never done this before. I've never put myself and my desires and my wants and needs and my voice in the center of this relationship, thinking about me and my husband, And when I first started to do that, the guilt, right, and the discomfort and the kind of expectation that he was going to reject me, that he was going to abandon me, that there was something wrong, right? Because that's what I learned. And so not only did I have to sit with my discomfort, but as an energy sensitive person, I sat with his discomfort. And I noticed that he would, like, if I felt guilty, he would make me feel guilty. He would be a mirror to whatever energy I was holding about myself. And the minute I decided that there was nothing wrong with what I was asking was then, like, literally, like, the minute or hours or days, however, it was a short amount of time for him to just get on board. And so I feel like we hold these in place. It's less about, and this is what I've learned, and maybe I think we project, right? and maybe it's just like, occupying the central self is so often just about giving yourself permission to see it all as a reflection of you, right? The other person isn't doing a thing to you. You're doing a thing to yourself.
Yeah. And I think it's very interesting when you change something consciously or unconsciously and the world responds to you in a positive way. I have a story to the anecdote about this. So once I had my previous job, I had a line manager. We didn't have a good relationship, and it was always difficult. Like, we were working together for 3 months, always very difficult. And then one day I emailed someone else in the team, and I CC'd her on the email, and I said, "Hello, lovely," because I was talking to the other person, and she thought I was talking to her. And because I said, "Hello, lovely," she replied, "Hello, lovely." And that moment, that interaction where I called someone else lovely, changed the way she related to me. And we didn't become friends, but we started to have a much better relationship. And I think it's like how it's funny how sometimes you change one little thing and the whole relationship changes. And yeah.
We're so much more in charge of how our relationships go, I think, than we consciously give ourselves credit for. I remember when I was doing my counseling with astrological counseling for a long time, and the thing was always to, want to bring the partner in to get the chart read or to get the, it's the partner that's the issue. And I would pretty much always insist that, no, you can do the work and change your entire relationship by just stepping into your work.
Yeah, and I think like when you are being with a client and they are in a relationship, can be an abusive relationship or a difficult relationship, I'm working with the person in the room. So of course I'm gonna hear what the other partner is doing, and I'll be very curious about it. But I can only work with that person. So what is their percentage of the dynamics? What are their actions are impacting the dynamics? That's what I can work with. So yeah, I think that's as you said, we have a lot of impact in the relationships for sure.
I think especially as women, we are shaping and directing the relationship far more than we even realize. And so I just like that kind of that you're working with women a lot in kind of empowering, stepping into the self. I think that's awesome. Let's see. Is there anything else you wanted to say about staying yourself, like just kind of owning your space? And
I think there's something around empathy that about how empathy feels like a superpower, and it's an amazing quality. It would be amazing if the world had more of that. And at the same time, I think a lot of times we lose ourselves when we are overly empathic.
yes,
And I think sometimes, most of the times, I think all the and very empathic people I know, they had a difficult background. They had somehow an unsafe background. Not that safe to say, but most people I know. And I think there's something about the hypervigilance that we develop as a child. Like, is my dad in a good mood today? Is my mom okay? Am I going to be hit today? So there's almost like a hypervigilance to scan the environment to see if things are okay. And then we learn that's the way we survive, to scan the environment to see if things are okay or not. And then we bring that to our lives. And I think when we do that on a regular basis, we also lose contact with ourselves, because we are again completely focused on the other person and we are not focused on ourselves anymore. So again, I think there's something about how can I bring this to myself instead of analyzing micro facial expressions of the other person. How can I bring this to my own feelings? How can I bring this back to how am I doing right now? Is this okay for me? So yeah,
I think that's an important thing to. I mean, people who are empaths especially are going to resonate with what you just said. Empathy is a little different from empath in my mind, where empathy is the ability to put yourself in somebody else's shoes, whereas empaths are actually sensing and feeling all of the time, and often without conscious. It just is happening. Yeah, it's just who you are. It's how you're built. And so for both, whether you had that kind of background, whether you consider yourself an empath, whether you consider yourself highly sensitive, there are more layers going on in what you're registering and picking up on. And so that will automatically put you outside of yourself a little. I mean, I can speak for myself on that. It's like I've had to work on what you're talking about, the hypervigilance from having a parent who was very unpredictable. But also the hypervigilance that naturally comes with being a very sensitive person, because if you're picking up on so many layers and fields of energy, there is always the kind of background things going on. And so learning how to find your center, it's kind of like at the beginning, it was like trying to find my keys in a snowstorm. It was almost impossible. But, you have to learn how to do that in order to be here, to be directing your own life as that a highly sensitive individual. So yeah.
Yeah, I think it's really rewarding. The journey of coming back to ourselves is really
Uh,
rewarding. Like, yeah, sometimes
yeah, absolutely.
difficult, but yeah.
It's been a huge part of my journey for sure, is learning how to do that. So it's where my Aries moon really helped, and your Aries sun, like all the Cancer, all the Libra, that it's very porous, it's very others oriented, right? And then learning how to just like say no, I'm standing in myself. I'm sometimes I'll even imagine a sun, like a solar sun around me, and like this is I am the center of the universe. I am the one here. You are revolving around me. It's such a different thing from my childhood. Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
yeah. I love that as
That's.
well. I love that image you're bringing. It's beautiful. Yeah, you're in the
Oh,
center.
thank you. Yeah, yeah. It's been really powerful, and I even include it in my energy practices sometimes, or just when I'm feeling as an energy sensitive, like depleted and picking up on too much stuff of the world. Where am I? I often ask that question: where am I, or who am I? They can both get you places. So I wanted to just talk about. I have a particular question, because this is what I actually reached out. I was like, oh, we can talk about like how this occurs in friendships, like the different ways. I mean, we have romantic partnerships, and it's important to occupy this self and to feel like you can work that muscle and get comfortable with being uncomfortable in order to build that boundary muscle. But we have lots of relationships in life. And so sometimes I find that, and maybe you find this true, especially for people who are highly attuned to depth and connection, that we don't always feel met. And sometimes people, whether it's friends or family members, they can, whether it's a difficult conversation or something about getting your needs met, that people can withdraw or disappear instead of like engaging, instead of like going deeper into the conversation or whatnot. So I'm curious to know your take, and I guess I'm kind of framing this too as ghosting, because I'm recognizing that a lot of people have that experience of people disappearing. What is going on there when like you want connection. Let's say you are secure in yourself, and then somebody can't meet you there, can't meet an invitation, can't meet a conversation. And that could be an entry point into your attachment styles too.
Yeah, I like the idea of thinking about friendships with the lenses of attachment. Of course, we apply attachment styles to romantic relationships all the time. Well, there's a lot of conversations around attachment styles in terms of romantic relationships, but I think they are very useful for platonic relationships as well. So what you're describing, I think there's something about people being really avoidant. It's like, I think it's a very symptomatic thing of being avoidant. So it's almost like, I don't need more friends. I don't need to value my friendships. If my friends are not around me, I will forget them. So I think that's a symptom of avoidant attachment style. And I get that we are living in a world where time is really limited. It feels really limited, and as you get older, time feels more limited because it is technically, literally more limited. So, but I think there's something around avoidance, really.
Yeah. And so, I mean, I think, of course, as you said, we're living in this kind of world that's so demanding on our attention and awareness and time. And so, I always find myself as a sensitive person trying to account for that when somebody doesn't get back to me or somebody's not responsive. But at a certain point, again, bringing it back to putting yourself in the center of your own story, at a certain point, I recognize, I was thinking about this for us, because I was recognizing that at a certain point, I had to decide that what I want matters And if I want responsiveness in my relationships across the board, that's valid. And so if I'm meeting somebody in friendship who has an avoidant attachment style, and then I recognize it, usually for me, it starts out as confusion. I'm like, I'm confused about this person.
Yeah, and I think like there's a lot of talks around consistency in terms of romantic relationships, right? I don't want to be in a relationship with someone that is inconsistent. I don't want to be in a relationship with someone that gives me mixed signals. And I think it's the same with friendships. It's like, of course, it's not going to be as charged as a romantic relationship because that's the nature of platonic relationships. But there is something like I prefer to prioritize consistent people in my life.
Right. Right. And giving yourself permission, like it took me a little bit of time to tease that out. Like, well, I don't need that person to be, more clear per se, because they're not at the center of my life. And, it's not a core need like going to the bathroom and eating and having housing, but that I want it and that it makes me feel safe. It makes me feel met. It makes me feel seen. To have that consistency, and then claiming it has been like, even just in like, a lot of my friendships feel more than platonic. A lot of my friendships feel deep and, almost like family. So, yeah. That just recognizing that you are allowed, right?
Yeah, and I think we overlook the role of friendships in our lives. I was reading something the other day about how impactful our friendships are for not only our emotional well-being, but there are studies showing that it has an impact on our physical well-being. So it determines that our friendships have a huge impact in the quality the quality of our lives.
So I was thinking about this in terms of attachment styles. So there's anxious, right? Mm-hmm. And there's secure and avoidant. Those are the three.
Yeah, these are the three main ones. Yeah, so there's also disorganized attachment style, fearful, avoidant. But I think let's focus on these three that are the most known ones. If you want to discuss a little.
So if you're anxious attachment style, you would, from what my understanding, you would need more reassurance. You would feel anxiety about the person maybe disappearing. There would be like some core insecurity around the stability and the constancy of the relationship. Yeah.
Yeah, there's like fear of being left, fear of being abandoned. I'm not sure this person will stay. No matter how much reassurance this person is giving me, I will question something. And the avoidant is fearful of being engulfed, is afraid of being swallowed. It's like I will lose myself in this relationship. There's no space for me here anymore once I get into relationships. So I'm going to push that away. And the secure is like, I like you, you like me. I trust that you're not going to leave. I trust myself and I trust you, and that's great. It's a perfect world.
Yeah.
But a lot of us they're not secure. So there's always I think it's really interesting how anxious attached people get really attached. They're drawn to the avoidant ones. They feel there's this pull, and there's like it's a dance. So the anxious is gonna come closer, and the avoidant is gonna take distance, and then the anxious is gonna take more, approach a bit more, and the avoidant is gonna take more distance, and that's almost like a dance of disconnection. It's really tiring, and a lot.
That sounds familiar. I mean, I would definitely say it's a very common pattern for people.
And I think, I think it's really, I see this a lot when I ask. So when someone is really fearful and think that someone is going to leave, and then I ask, who has done that to you? What happened? And I think 9 of 10 times, the person will find something in childhood or in adolescence where someone left. Sometimes the link is not very conscious. Sometimes their father left when they were 3 years old, and they think it was a great thing because they have the best stepdad, but the wound is there. So the wound of the I wasn't enough, this family wasn't enough for my father to stay. So someone left, and then they carry that wound into their lives. Or maybe it was a first boyfriend, I don't know, first heartbreak. So yeah, there's always, we don't come to the world insecure, we become insecure.
That's a really good point. Really good point. I often think of that. We come into the world secure. We also come into the world naturally whole. We come into the world as our true self. We come into the world feeling good and loved and peaceful, and all the stuff that's taking us away from that state that we maybe remember. We're trying to get back to, and I think that's the journey of life. So that attachment is one of those concepts that's really useful, especially I think that in dating and sorting through, I see that a lot. You talk about that a lot in dating, just kind of identifying the different attachment types.
Yeah, and I think I really like what you're saying, that we are born with all these qualities, right? And I think that's the core of inner child work, and I think that's why I like it so much. It was really important for my own journey. It's almost like we are born with all those amazing qualities, and then they start to be stripped away by life, and you need to go back there and reconnect with these amazing qualities that this child self had or still has. It's just like there's so much wound there. That child was so wounded that he acts out the wound instead of allowing us to get in touch with the joy of being alive, or the creativity or curiosity. So we need to go back to that place and reconnect with those qualities.
Yeah, it's like removing the layers that are keeping you from being in that joyful space, the person that you have always been and have forgotten. So yeah, absolutely. And so that attachment styles, those just kind of, I just wanted to underscore that's a tool, like one of the tools that we can use to understand, right? Who people are showing up as.
Yeah, and really important to say they are not rigid, right? They are not written in stone. Sometimes we might have an anxious style with one person and avoidant with someone else, or secure. Like, it's not something that is not a template for your life. And even if you're suffering from these patterns, you can change that. You're not doomed. There's change.
Yeah, because I found that when I looked at the attachment styles, I didn't really resonate fully with any one style. But I could see for myself with other people, it became really interesting to observe. I remember I had a friend who I could definitely, because I can talk about it because she's no longer in my life. But there was a more avoidant way of being. And so, yeah. It can be illuminating, and then I always like to bring things back to myself. Like what does that mean to me? Am I getting what I need out of this? Am I getting what I want out of this? She can still have her pattern. They can still be doing who they are. You do you. But am I getting what I need? Am I getting what I want?
Yeah, I think that's an important question, right? Because I don't think the avoidant wants to be avoidant. Maybe they're not even aware that they are avoidant. And so it's not about blaming them, but it's about, I love this question, am I getting what I want? Because I think that's the important thing.
And I think too, as energy sensitive, there was something else I was thinking of with the anxious attachment style, like that sense of security that the anxious attachment style is always looking for. I found that because I have such specific needs in relationship. I value presence. I value depth. I value quality of connection. If I don't have that person in presence, in depth, I may feel anxious. And it's less to do with an attachment style. It has more to do with who I am and how I'm built. And that the sensitive, empathic people crave that for a reason.
Yeah, and I think then we also can talk about love languages, right? So that's important. Presence is important for you. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So, yeah, not rigid lines and the attachment styles, just more like an interesting lens to view things through.
Yeah, it's about self-awareness, really.
So did you want to go into the inner child? I am totally open to how you'd like to spend the rest of our time together. We could do a practice. We could talk a little bit more about some other things. What are you feeling comfortable with doing at this moment?
I think let's do a grounding practice. What do you think?
A grounding practice? Yeah. Like it related to relationship and
body, like being aware of the inner world is because I love the inner child one, and I think it was the first. I really like it, and I do it a lot. I do it a lot with clients, but we don't know where people are listening to this.
Yeah, so, where they are in their process. Yeah. Well, maybe like on the topic of just like being in relationship and holding all this material and getting activated, right? Like we all have those moments where we get activated, either the fight or flight freeze fawn, or like, so in those moments, having a go-to, is helpful for coming back into your own presence. So what do you think of doing something? Like that?
Yeah, I think it's great. Let's do something really, to like awareness, what's happening inside of me, and grounding. Yeah.
That sounds good.
Okay. So, let's start. Just if it feels okay, I would like to invite you to close your eyes, or maybe just lower your gaze. Just have a deep breath. In the next inhale, hold your breath for 2 seconds and release very slowly. And take a moment to notice your body. Just give it some attention. Maybe you haven't noticed too much of your body today, so just give it some attention. You don't need to change anything, just notice. And notice your feet on the ground. Notice the weight of your body on the chair. And just be curious about your body. Now just move your awareness to your emotions. And from here, you can ask a very simple question to yourself. What's happening inside me right now? Not what you think should be happening, just what is there, just curiosity. There's no right or wrong. And whatever it is that is coming up for you, just allow it. Just be there for a moment without trying to fix it. And maybe just by noticing it, by naming it, it's a way of coming back to yourself, of giving yourself attention. And slowly, when you're ready, you can start opening your eyes, bringing some movements to your body. Yeah, and welcome
That was,
back.
that was really nice, Marina.
It's a really simple practice, but I think it's really powerful to slow down sometimes. And yeah, just paying attention to myself a bit. Yeah.
And just taking that moment, that pause to attend to whatever is happening can create so much space.
Yeah, and of course, some people meditate every day, and that's amazing. But I think even taking 5 minutes, 3 minutes, and just noticing what's happening inside of you when you wake up or before, I don't know, it can be really powerful as well. It's like, what's happening inside of me instead of just going in the autopilot.
And then we kind of open this up to, I mentioned when we feel conflict in relationship, maybe when we feel more activated. Is this something, a type of practice that you would pull on when just to kind of step away from that activation?
Yeah, I think a healthy. I think when you are in conflict in a relationship, in a couple, or in a friendship, I think it's healthy to ask for some space, not storming off, not leaving. Like, I'm gonna go for a walk because I'm feeling a bit overwhelmed right now, and I need some space to process things. So I think that's a mature way of dealing with things.
Is that how you do it?
Yeah, that's how I do it. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and I really need. I think my inner child is really. I talk to her a lot. Sometimes I realize that she was active hours later. It's like I don't think it's so, but yeah, it's like yeah, there was something there that she was activated. So I don't have a lot of fights with my boyfriend, but every time we fought was because I wanted more attention. He was giving attention to a friend, to his friend, to one of his best friends. Every time there was a male friend, so there's no jealousy, there's nothing. But there's something like, how dare you not give me attention right now? And so, yeah, and I need to slow down, breathe, and take some space.
And do you literally say, I need to slow down, breathe, take some space? How would you suggest somebody, if they're in that moment, when they're activated, what would be a language that would maybe just like a little script
For
to
the
help
other
them to say,
person.
for if you were in a conflict moment and you were feeling activated, what could you say to the other person to create safety for yourself and for them, but also take care of yourself in that moment?
Yeah, I think communicating that I'm feeling overwhelmed and I need some space. I think if the other person feels unsafe with that, that's also theirs to work with. Because I right now, if I'm feeling activated and I need some space, I'm gonna take care of myself right now, and that person needs to trust that that's the right thing for both of us. And because I can't, if I'm activated, I can't take care of myself and of the other person. So yeah, I think we come back to boundaries here. It's like right now I'm going to take care of myself and I need to leave. And I hope you know there's nothing to do with you. There's nothing wrong with our relationship, but right now I need some space.
Yeah. Yeah. And I find that like when I've been in those moments, either with partner or with anybody, like I really articulating that like I'm feeling activated, even saying I'm feeling activated, or this conversation is going into territory where I don't feel safe anymore. And that activates me. So let's take a pause, or let's take some space, and just like articulating that I found is really, really useful.
Yeah, and I think the I statements also is a big thing, right? It's like
I'm feeling,
yeah,
not you're doing this to me or you're doing that to me.
I'm feeling activated now, so I need to go for a walk. I think that's a rule of thumb for conflict in relationships is I statements.
So that using I statements, you could then use a grounding practice. You could go on a walk. People have different needs, different styles. My husband needs 24 hours to recover from anything emotionally. I'm very instant. I'm very like, I'm over it in 5 minutes.
And it's
Aries moon.
Yeah. Yes,
I'm like, we're good now. We're good now. Let's kiss and make up. And he's like, I need 24. Like he doesn't. Of course, it took me years to understand this. Of the observation and how like he wouldn't fully return to himself for that amount of time, and I wouldn't feel normal with him. So it's just like, I think it's different strokes for different folks, but always honoring like coming back to the I and what I need. And if I need you to be responsive to me in 5 minutes, then I got to figure out a different way to take care of myself if you're not available to that.
Yeah. Yeah. The other thing I find it useful is like you're in conflict. We are in conflict about one thing. I'm not gonna bring the conflict we had last month to the conversation. You're gonna fight about this. The fights. You're not gonna fight anything else.
Yeah.
Because that's where it gets really difficult. If we start bringing things like from last year, from last month, it's like it's endless. So
have you heard of the book If the Buddha Married by Charlotte Castle? Okay, so she has this, she calls them fair fighting rules. And and that is one of the rules to fighting fair. Okay. Yeah. It's do not bring up past arguments. No, stay in this particular, like it's not, you always do this. No, you have to be like addressing this present moment. So very, very good strategy. Otherwise people can get really deep into
otherwise
murky like territory.
Yeah. It's like a game of who is more wrong here, who is the wrongest one here. And that doesn't take us anywhere.
Yeah. And also it's just good I've noticed for me just to decide for my relationship, and I tell John this now, but it's taken me years. We're gonna have our 20-year anniversary this fall. So these are my relationship hard knocks. I've earned my badge. But I've decided, what's that?
Beautiful.
Yeah. But I've decided over the years of flexing this muscle, deciding that I don't want to be in a relationship where someone is ever wrong. No one is ever wrong. And so if there's even a hint of that, it's just like instant, like, no, forgiveness. No one is ever wrong here. And because I decided that, I noticed too, one of those shifts that we were talking about too, where, once you change an internal dynamic for yourself, it ripples out and other people start stepping into the change. So suddenly he started being able to get out of the blame game when I decided nobody is ever wrong in this relationship.
Yeah, yeah, and it's that the dynamic, right? Now I'm curious to know where the root of this word comes from, dynamic. But I think there's something about one is it's like one influences the other. It's like a dance. So if one partner is more regulated, although this word nowadays has a lot of connotations, but if one partner is regulated, the other is going to pick up those cues and is going to regulate as well, to co-regulate.
Yeah, just like animals with each other, we just start to pick up on those nonverbal physical cues, or whatever you want to call them. But this has been such a rich and interesting conversation about.
Yeah, it was really fun. Yeah, we could talk like for 3 more hours here.
I know. I'm like, I could keep going, but I am a little jet lagged, so I should probably before I veer into.
It's 12:30 already here, so yeah, it was really nice.
Really nice talking with you, Marina. Maybe we can do it again.
Yeah, definitely.
It's been a pleasure. Yeah. So. Yeah, how can people get in touch with you? Oh, what was that? I don't want to.
I got a lot from it. It's really nice, really heartwarming. Really nice. Yeah.
Thank you. Nice. For those who can't see us, we just touched our hearts. We're so like cancer touching our hearts. Yeah, we both got a lot from this. So it was just really fun to finally connect with you, and I knew that your spirit would resonate with mine in multiple ways. And we both have this interest in relationship and women's empowerment, and bringing it back to the self. So this is really interesting.
Yes, in the power of internet, right? Because we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for crazy life on Instagram. But it's really nice because, I think if we lived in the close to each other, we would be friends. I would visit you. But yeah, of course, we live in different parts of the world. But yeah, it's so nice, really. It's such an...
The internet's not all doom scrolling. It's not all bad. It can bring people together. And so this is, take note. You can get actually, form friendships and connections this way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So tell us, Marina, how to get in touch with you, and maybe a little bit about what you're doing next, maybe your course.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so I'm launching a program for self-esteem for women. It's called Authentica, with the Portuguese spelling. I'll launching it on the 17th of April, which is the new moon in Aries. So I chose that date because of that. I wanted to launch it on next week, which is my birthday, but it's not going to be ready soon enough. So I postponed for the 17th of April. You can find information for the waiting list and all the information on my Instagram page, which is at marina.des.therapy. My website is marinalorenzato.com. And you can get in touch, email me or send me a message on Instagram. You can see my email on my website, and I respond to everything. And I'm very on my emails. And so I would be happy to hear from any of your listeners.
Sweet. Yeah. So we'll have all of your contact information in the show description under the podcast. And so hopefully you will hear from some of my listeners, and maybe we shall do this again, depending on, let us know if you like it, everybody, please, and let us know what you think. Yeah. Okay. It was wonderful talking with you. Okay.
Have a lovely day.
And you as well. Have a good night. Bye.